All right. Wait, what happened to my? There we go. Some of us understood that. Yep. So this is Anatomy of a Deal. We're going to talk about how to. I know we had a different thing on Meetup. Sorry, I changed it at the last minute because I've been a little busy. So I put up a bunch of topics. You guys had some ideas, so we switched over to this. All right. So we're going to do the Anatomy of a Deal. I'm going to walk you through one of the last deals that I just did and completed. How I analyzed it. We're going to go through the whole thing from start to finish. Okay. So like how I first found out about the property all the way to putting renters in. Okay. And we're going to talk about the whole gambit. So anyways, spent $5,000 and the guy sold it to me like that this thing was going to look like brand new, like not have a spot on this thing. So, but then, 3-4 years later, I'm looking at that spot back there. I'm like, all right, I guess I eventually come around. Anyways, current projects. So I'm doing a lot of mobile homes right now. I do have one stick built that's finishing up, but pretty much every project on there is all manufactured homes right now. I got a septic issue at one. Can't smell that room. It was pretty bad. You can't smell that one either, but it smells a lot better with all stuff ripped out of it. And then that one in the top right. Is Elle still here? Where'd she go? Would she come from dinner and leave? Never mind. I'm not doing a deal with Elle. Not anymore. So doing a deal with somebody up there. Bought a mobile home that's completely gutted all the way down to the studs. And then that is the drywall going back on there. So that one's been fun. She told me we're in a little different eras of our investing careers. And she's like, I was happy. I think the drywall looks fantastic. And she's telling me, she's like, it looks so closed in now, because all the 2x4s are now full of drywall. And so you could see from last week, you could see from end to end of the trailer, and it made it look really, really big. And now it doesn't feel so big in there anymore. So but I'm like, I didn't even notice that. I just noticed how nice all the drywall looks. So, and then bottom right there is our nursery for the baby that's coming in a few weeks, and I finally finished it. I put the blinds up this weekend, so I'm excited for that one. I still got to get a mini split put in, so I guess I'm not 100%. But anyways, so all right, so Anatomy of a Deal. Again, we're going to talk about the whole thing here. And when I posted this on the HQ on like what you guys wanted to hear about, you had a lot of questions, or a lot of topics that you were interested in hearing about. So Ray wanted to know how to avoid being sued as a landlord. Joe wanted to know how to analyze, finance, and close a deal if you got like $50K at a W-2. Augie wanted to know the best way to hold title for lawsuit protection. Aaron wanted to know how to underwrite a rental, cap rate, DSCR, all that. Wendy was talking about purchasing through auctions, bidding and risk assessment. This didn't really apply to this deal, so if we get to that, we're gonna chat about that a little bit if we have time. So, but then Jim was talking about using other people's money, OPM, Pharaoh, seller objections and rebuttals, and then Miguel was asking about qualifying leads and versus time lead wasters. So how do you know when to spend time with somebody that calls you or move on? Okay. So a lot of great topics there, a lot of good ideas. So what do you think I did? You already know the answer, don't say. I threw it all into my eye and I said, make this into a coherent topic. And it came up with this. And then it made me this whole presentation. So, yeah, it was pretty awesome. About 20 minutes. And then probably about another 20 minutes for me to edit the slideshow and everything. So, yeah, this used to take me like a week to make one of these things. So, but tonight we're not going to talk about AI because I'll never shut up about it. So, all right. So I'm going to try and do like one deal walkthrough to answer all of these questions. Okay. And if I don't hit on each one of these topics or you want me to expand, we're going to do Q at the end, but feel free to stop me. Okay. And we're not really going to do this in order. So, the deal at a glance was a home up in the mountains. Okay, I bought it for $300. Just give you quick numbers on it. So I bought it for $365. It was $100,000 rehab. It ended up appraising for $825. I sold it. Excuse me. I held it for 6 months. It was a 3,200 square foot house. It was massive. And what's funny is on the outside of it, it looks like 1,000 square feet. Like it's just the way that it's built doesn't look as like endless as it is when you get inside. It was like this maze that just never ended. And it should rent. Well, I got the first unit's renting for $28.45. The second one's I should get about $25.45. And then the cool thing about all of this was my cash out of pocket of my cash that was used for this deal was a total of $14,000. Okay. Like those numbers? All right. So here's what it looked like when I walked in. All right. So the house itself, I think the original house was, I don't even remember anymore. I want to say the 70s, like a 70s build. And then they did an addition in the early 2000s where somebody spent a shitload of money. I mean, they probably spent like $200,000 just on the foundation on this house. It was because they built off the back. It was probably like if I could guess, it's probably about 1,000, maybe 800, 900 square feet, the original house, and they added 2,000 square feet with full vinyl wrap siding all the way around. So, and a 500 square foot deck that we're going to talk about. So yeah, somebody spent a stupid amount of money on this thing, and then 15, 20 years later, somebody completely ruined it. So, so that is, I know it's hard to, it's with any of these pictures and any of the pictures and stories I tell you guys, you never really understand the smell unless you've been in one of these houses. Then you probably start to understand what that smells like. But this place stunk. They had lots of dogs and lots of, animals and all kinds of stuff. And I'm sure there's some bongs in some of these pictures and there's probably one on that shelf. So the place reeked. But it was pretty beat up. So that was the staircase, one of the staircases, and it was just totally trashed. And this flooring wasn't bad flooring. I mean, it was pretty decent stuff. It wasn't like super high end, but it wasn't like done poorly. It was just had the crap kicked out of it. Okay, just a lot of, and this is after they had left or been evicted or whatever, and there was all this stuff that was left. So they were like in the middle of moving out, and this was kind of what was left. So none of the ceiling fans worked. There was the glass was intact, but I mean, I don't know why they removed half the window. It worked fine. I put it back in there and it slid. I don't know why half the window was out. There was piles of diapers and other stuff in the bathrooms. You can't really see it in that picture, but the bottom of that sink is just like, or the bottom of that, the lip of that shower, that tub right there is just like, ever see Ghostbusters 2? That like pink slime? Yeah, it kind of looked like that. So, but the tile floor, was there, but it was all cracked and spider webbed and, like somebody had taken a hammer to it or no, actually I take that back. They did not put any hardy backer down. So they stuck the tile right onto the plywood floor. So all the grout lines had failed and the floor was just falling apart. So that all came up. And then in the kitchen here, the kitchen wasn't in that bad of shape. I probably could have saved it. The corian was kind of right there. You can see the lip. The corian was kind of failing in that seam right there, but I could have fixed it. Again, you can't really see the smell in this picture or the roaches. So pretty bad. There's a nice French door refrigerator, double drawer, like $2,000, $3,000 refrigerator right there. And I made the mistake of opening it. So those of you that like my social media, I like to do fridge tests of when I walk into these houses, and the longer that fridge has been there, and the power's been out, and there's more food in there. Usually, the faster I run, but I usually get it on video, and it's the best when I have somebody new with me that has never done this before. And I didn't this time, but I opened the door, and literally just like a pile of roaches fell out. It was disgusting. So it was pretty bad. So again, the cabinets themselves weren't terrible, but it was gross. So I'll show you what we did. And then, like I said, nice 500 square foot deck. with 2 stories of living space under it. So we'll talk more about the deck in a minute. And then just, you can't really see it. I had a close-up. I didn't make it in here. But nice little drawings and just stuff all over the walls. Just your ideal tenants situation. So dog had chewed up all the door casings and everything, and the doors had holes in them and chewed up. So like it wasn't that bad of the house itself wasn't in like terrible shape. There wasn't really anything. I mean, it was truly like pretty much cosmetic, but it was just huge. Okay, it was 3,200 square feet. So a lot of doors. Was that? Might be. So step 1. All right. So analyze it, obviously. And again, AI kind of made me this at the 11th hour, so I might not follow these slides perfectly. But so where I got this was a pocket listing from an agent. Okay, so the agent, actually originally, let me back up a second. Hey, Elle's here. There she is. There's my partner. Should we go back and, no, I'm just kidding. I figured you did. So a wholesaler contacted me about this property. I don't remember who it was. It was, I don't even know if we got that far. They told me how big the house was, and I was like, and how much they wanted for it. And I was like, nah. And, I'm like, I'll do this on it. I sent them a number, and they never got back to me. Okay. So, never got back to me. And then about a week later, I think I texted them at some point asking about it. I don't remember. But about a week later, I get a phone call from my mom. And my mom's an agent. Where is she? Oh, she's watching. So she's in the other room. And so I get a call from my mom, and she said that this agent that we know is, and I just talked to this agent literally like 3 days ago about another property. And she couldn't, and I told her, like, I knew her name. She was, I wasn't like super close with her. But we'd crossed paths, before. And so I was talking to her about another property, and I told her I just reminded her what I do and all that. And she was trying to get a hold of me. She couldn't remember what apparently she didn't save my number, so she didn't think I was this serious. And so she called my mom because she remembered me mentioning that, she had been the buyer's agent on one of our flips or something like that. And so my mom called me. She said she's trying to get a hold of you. Called her. And she texted me the address, and I said, you know what I said? What would you say? What's that? Yeah, I know that house. I said, I know that house. The wholesaler already sold it. No, she didn't. That's my neighbor. And she told that wholesaler to go pound rocks. I was like, all right. So, I don't know if I'm getting ahead of myself in the presentation here. So she tells me, and I was like, all right, let me look at it. And who is that? So she tells me, whatever, we go back and forth, and I said, let me look at it. I think I can do it. And it's at like the same, so I guess the story was the wholesaler was trying to push her around for even less than what her contract price was. So lesson for those of you that have heard other wholesalers say to go back and, drop the price once you have a buyer. Well, this one didn't work. She told the wholesaler to F off. And then so it came back to me at the same price that I was already willing to buy it at. So I went and looked at it. And what was interesting about this house was that it was massive. Okay. It was 3,200 square feet. It was 7 bedrooms. It was 3 bathrooms. And it had 3 levels. So you walked in, there was a level, then you went down and there was another level. Then you went down from there and there was another level. And it already had 2 entrances. It already had 2 kitchens, the plumbing for all of it. It had 3 full bathrooms, 1 on each level. So naturally, what do you guys think I was thinking? I kind of already told you. What's that? Triplex? I thought about it. Nope. I decided to keep it. So most people I think would have seen, I mean, maybe, I don't know who walked it with the wholesalers and stuff like that. The I immediately saw 2 units. And the more I had this house, they 100% built this thing as 2 units. They just never finished the wall in between the two. It had a separate entrance into a living room. The second unit had a separate entrance into the living room. All the plumbing was there for the second kitchen. Everything was there. So it had 2 full HVAC systems that were already perfectly separated between the and HVAC central heater system, has central heater and air conditioning, 2 full sets, completely separated perfectly to way the units were. They had 0 crossover. It had everything for a second water heater, so it was all there. It was all there. But the problem is that this place they wanted too much for it as a single house. So, or if you were just going to leave it a single house. So if you just left this thing 1 unit and paid what they wanted and then put the rehab in, you would have never gotten it back unless you were hanging on to it for a really long time. Okay. So, and what I also check now when I come across one of these things is that it was fully permitted. None of the space was an illegal addition. None of it. It was all fully permitted. As is, everything was in there already. So, the only thing I needed to do was now hook up another kitchen, and figure out where, to kind of do the separation here. So, just to kind of give you guys an idea, that's all 3. Next slides are going to be bigger. So that's all 3 levels. Okay. And I know it's hard to picture from here, but this is 1 level. And this is actually a garage, a single car garage that they had closed in already and made a 4th bedroom. A 4th bedroom for that unit. And I did contemplate opening that back up into a garage. It probably could have gone either way. Leaving it as a bedroom. I got the square footage for it on the appraisal. So, whereas a garage wouldn't have been technically living area. So I decided to leave that. But you walk in, there's a big living room. I know it's hard to picture because it's hard for me to picture, and I've been in there 1,000 times. It's a huge house. So you walk in, and then big old kitchen, full bathroom up top. So this literally could have been like an entire unit by itself. Could have been a 1-bedroom unit by itself with a massive deck and a massive kitchen. I have another house that was converted into 3 units. And the way this one worked out as a 2-unit was that basically they only shared 1 common wall and 2 bedrooms instead of them all sharing different walls and having different living areas touching. So I probably would have cash flowed a little bit more if I turned it into 3 units, but I would have also had to add a 3rd kitchen somewhere else, and then the layout wouldn't have worked too well. So I went with 2, and the way this works, so this second level down is massive, okay? You go down from the first level, and there's this long hallway, and then you have the bathroom, laundry room, and then these huge bedrooms, okay? And then this is the back unit at the back, which has another floor below it. So there's another floor below this area. All right, so these 2 rooms right here, you pass through into these areas to get to the back. So literally all I had to do to split this up into 2 units was fill in a 6-foot wall there and like a 5-foot walkway there. And then boom, I had a 4-bedroom unit up front and then a 3-bedroom